Scotty, both of us have a little action here on our best bets of the week with this game coming up on Thursday. Now, Keep Close says he likes to bet this one. He's feeling good about it. And I think a lot of people are. Chairman, this is your time to shine. You get the Thursday night spotlight. Scotty, do you
Milwaukee?
Scotty, and Milwaukee's, if you're still here. I think he's shifted gears to the NBA as of today, and he's not following this anymore. He's already on to the NBA season.
He's done.
He's done
already.
So sorry, Milwaukee's. This doesn't apply to you, I don't think, as much as everything else that's happening news-wise in Milwaukee. But we do have a game. Scotty, do you want to talk about this one first, and I'll kind of follow behind you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think this is pretty decent matchup. Two teams that both 2-1 got off to pretty nice starts. Both defensively have been playing pretty good football. And then Jordan Love, I said it before the season, Chris, like I thought Green Bay was going to win more games this year with Love than they did with Rodgers last year. We'll see if that happens. This one, Detroit comes in on the road, short week. Their second Thursday night game of the year already, Chris. The Lions just killing it, getting those primetime matchups. They come in favor 1.5. I listen. I think this is going to be the crux of it. Is I think this is going to be a tight game. I think Green Bay's played pretty well defensively. Both teams have. I just fully expect this to be close. So we both have it in a teaser, Chris. We're taking the Packers, bumping them up to 7.5. And a teaser. The other part of our teaser is a little different, although I think you have that in a different teaser. So anyway, this is going to be a good matchup. I expect this to be a fun, competitive game to watch. I don't know, Detroit on a short week. Is that easier to come in, or is that more difficult? Green Bay is it sounds like possibly have Aaron Jones and Christian Watson for the first time all year. Christian Watson might be playing this Thursday, getting him back. So they do have some Bakhtiari still out and things of that nature. So a couple of injuries there, but I just like this game to be competitive and close. And at 46, I'd probably lean under as well. With the way these two defenses have played thus far. So it should be a good one, Chris.
Yeah, and actually I had this game. I think the wrong team is favored in this one, in my opinion. I think this game should be probably Packers -3 at home, favorites against the Lions. Both teams dealing with injuries, but at Green Bay, like you mentioned, gets back one of or if both Aaron Jones, Christian Watson, top corner Jair Alexander is potentially going to be returning as well from his injury. So that's going to help out in the secondary, which would, by the way, if we're talking about fantasy news and how that's going to affect things, they're going to maybe throw him on Amon-Ra St. Brown, which would funnel more towards Laporta, the tight end. We'll talk about him later. So I just think that there's a lot of injuries on that offensive line for Detroit. On a short week, in a hostile road environment, in prime time. There's a tall order for the Lions here. I liked it at 1.5, but I was just like, I'm just going to play it safe. I feel great about the teaser with Green Bay. So, again, teasers, you add 6 points in favor of the bet you're making. So this was a 1.5 point spread. You take 6 and add that to it. Makes it 7.5. So that is the new line, and you pair that with another game. So we'll get to our pairings here a little bit later. But I lean the Packers just from a strict up standpoint of maybe even lean the -1.5 or +1.5. I like the Packers in this one in a close one.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the line should be close to pick 'em, so I don't think the line's egregious. I thought it may be closer to just a pick 'em. Would have made sense to me. I think the Lions are the slightly better team, but then again, short week on the road. And you never know. You never know what you're going to get. So, DVOA wise, the Lions right now are coming at number 9 ranking, according to that metric, and Green Bay's 12. So they're kind of both top half of the league, neck and neck there. So the shocker in DVOA, Chris, is I just looked at Arizona Cardinals are 10th. Like, I don't.
That
I don't
tells
even
us
understand.
everything you need to know.
Not all metrics are perfect, but I mean, you think about it. Like, I know I'm getting off on a tangent real quick, but the Cardinals could easily be 3-0 right now. I mean, they were up
The way they
against
played.
Washington for most of the game, and then obviously against the Giants, they were, I mean, blew a 24-0 lead or whatever it was, and then before beating Dallas last week, they could be 3-0, which would be absolutely wild.
Cardinals are a wild team. I have no idea. I mean, they've been obviously taking the bus to work. P3.
All this talk about fantasy makes me remember that I once slept that I was drowning in orange soda. I think that was a fantasy. They call the first episode of a TV show a pilot, because anyone can fly a plane for a couple seconds. But you have to prove your jokes can land. Pixar is making a Finding Nemo sequel where he opens McDonald's locations on the ocean floor. It's called The Flounder. Quit my job fixing controllers at the TV repair shop.
There you go. Heyo. Thank you, P3, for the bits and all the jokes as always. But hey, you know what? We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And also Chairman coming in. Didn't know we had Milwaukee's scouting report here with the Green Bay Packers, but
Milwaukee's is putting all his life savings on the Lions, I assume.
yeah,
He's out on the Packers. He's out on the Packers.
he's done. Packer
all
season
about-
is over.
They're 2-1, and he's like, done. Dead to me.
Oh my goodness. Well, this is gonna be a fun one. Again, Detroit favored on the road, 1.5 in this environment. So over under set at 46. We'll see. Random Laker player. Let's hear it.
Random Laker player of the stream. Kareem Rush.
Yeah, we
Good old-
got
Good
Kareem.
old Rush brothers.
There you go.
Chris, can you name the other two Rush brothers?
Super Cooper.
No,
Can't even,
no.
Oh my gosh. What was the one that went to UCLA?
Kareem Rush. Oh no, not Kareem. It's
I know the one that went to Kansas. The one who went to UCLA.
Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3.
Rush Hour 1, 2,
Jerome.
and 3.
I don't know. I haven't even. I don't know any of those.
Jaron, Kareem, and Brandon. Brandon, a national champion at the University of Kansas, Chris.
Oh yeah, Brandon. Okay, yeah. You're right.
Well, I know I'm right. I'm always right. Including this morning. I might have chose violence, but I was still right.
Let's get into the Falcons and the Jags. Guys, keep in mind, this is over the pond. So if you aren't setting your fantasy lineups accordingly, you have to early this week on Sunday, because there will be a game happening as soon as you wake up. There's the Jacksonville have a home game in London here coming up against the Falcons. Jacksonville -3, over under set at 43 total points. Now, Scotty, this was almost one of my best bets of the week, and I passed on it, and I actually got it in one of my other betting leagues at +3.5, and I loved the Falcons at +3.5. I still love it at +3. I didn't make it one of my best bets because I love some other bets a little bit better, but I do think the Falcons are the right play here. Jags have played some really close games recently in London, and I feel like this one is going to lend itself to that as well. A low total here. I think both teams end up scoring. The Jags, after losing last week, I just don't think they're the team that we thought they were. And I think they've kind of fallen off a lot of people's radars based off of the fact that they haven't been that impressive compared to the hype that we've seen going into the season. Has the quarterback play from T-Law been good? Yeah, it's been good. Hasn't been great to what we thought maybe it could be at its peak. That team is not real. It's not real. I'm telling you.
Ow! That
It's not real.
motherfucker back there is not real.
So Jags, I think, are maybe slightly inflated. I think the Falcons can still score. They have some dynamic pieces to push the ball, and
If they actually use them.
if they use them, which I think in this one. I think they will, but this isn't one of my best bets of the week. It's just a very strong lean. If I had 5 picks, this would be my 5th pick. Scotty, it's one of your picks.
I was gonna say it is one of my picks, right? I'm trying to remember for sure my picks that I sent you because I was back and forth on some, but I believe I did take Atlanta +3. And even sitting here today, I'm a little nervous of that. Part of me wants to believe that Jacksonville was just looking ahead to London and overlooked Houston last week, because if we get the Jacksonville from this past Sunday, give me Atlanta or +3, give me Atlanta money line, give me Atlanta -7. Like, I mean, they got manhandled by that Texans team, losing by 20. They, didn't look great offensively against the Chiefs the week before, settling for 3 field goals in that game. Everyone was excited about this Jacksonville team, and something just feels off with them right now. You add Calvin Ridley, and he's been a little up and down thus far. To go with an offense, like, it's funny, all of a sudden the narrative is like, oh, Trevor Lawrence doesn't have enough help around him. And I'm like, what?
No.
I mean, with Ridley and Kirk and ETN and Ingram, like, come on. What are we talking about here? Maybe the offensive line could use a little help, but beyond that, the weapons are there on this team. The speed is there. The playmakers are there. Maybe Lawrence isn't who we thought he was. Maybe he'll never turn into the prince that was promised, Chris. All right. And from an Atlanta perspective, it's my quarterback. I don't love how they've played either thus far. I know they are 2-1, but just haven't looked totally convincing. I mean, I don't know whether Kyle Pitts is not healthy or they just continue to hate him. But if they do hate him, I can find a team that'll take him. Not only do the Chiefs love tight ends, but so do celebrity females that play for the Chiefs. All right. So Kyle Pitts, come on over to KC. Obviously with Bijan and Drake London, you have pieces there. Ritter hasn't, I basically was like, Ritter's got to be an upgrade from Mariota last year. And thus far, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same. Chris, this feels like if you wouldn't have told me the total at all, I would have guessed this feels like a 23-20 game. Like, with every ounce of my being, this feels like a 23-20 game. Similar to when you guys played Jacksonville, the Broncos last year. Was that score not like 23-20? I feel like every time Jacksonville plays,
it's always around the same.
It's like around the low 20s, and it's like a field goal game. So give me the plus points. I certainly don't think Jacksonville's played on a neutral, where they should be getting 3 points on a neutral against Atlanta. I don't know if the books are thinking, Jacksonville being used to going to London still counts as home field, but Jacksonville is also 0-2 at home after that drubbing against the Texans and losing against the Chiefs in back-to-back weeks. So, but interesting enough, Chris, this is the first time after this game Jacksonville will be staying in London and playing again in London next week against the Buffalo Bills. Or I don't even. It's in London, right? I know it's still. They stay in Europe. I assume it's still.
Yeah, I think it's still in London.
Yep. Yeah. So that'll be interesting though to how acclimating and staying there, because this is the first year they've done this. I think, right? This is that they've hung out there for.
I don't think anyone's ever played 2 international games in a season before. So, and if you're going to do it, you're going to go consecutive weeks. You're not.
Maybe next year they could play all their games there. They might as well.
And another first, this game is going to be telecasted in Toy Story.
Oh yeah, the Toy Story.
That's right. That's right.
Which,
that'll be.
I don't know what to think about all that.
I mean, are kids up that early? Well, my kids are. Never.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm asking that question. Yeah. What's interesting, Chris, is the Jags played a true road game week 1 at Indy. They won't play another true road game until week 7 at New Orleans. Which is just wild. But then, Chris, they don't even take their schedule's so weird. They don't take a week off. You're given the choice after your international game on your return back if you wanted that next week off as your bye or not. They chose not to, so they play at home against the Colts a week after that Buffalo game next week. Then they play on Thursday night at the Saints, like in 4 more days before getting a little breather. But it's wild.
Like we give a lot of thoughts and insights and analysis into how bad it is for teams to play consecutive road games and how hard that is. I can see the Jags struggling over the next 3 or 4 weeks with like being on the road, living out of a suitcase, not being able to like, truly settle in. And then even then when they come home, it's like, I don't know how this could be the toughest stretch for the Jags. And I wouldn't be shocked if they lose a lot of these games. You could, and as a whole, over the course of the season, you could argue that the Jaguars so far in 3 weeks have been one of the most disappointing teams in the NFL, based off of just the fact that their expectations and where people thought they would be aren't exactly where they are now and what people are expecting of them. It's crazy.
Cuban asks, will Jacksonville still win the South? Chris, if you had to pick right here, right now, are the Jaguars winning the South? What would
I hate like just talking through this stretch of games. I hate it. But yeah, I think they're still good enough to win the South, given the fact that you
got 2 other 1 and 2 teams with them right now in Houston and Tennessee, and then you got the Colts at 2-1. The Colts have kind of looked. Colts and Houston have both looked far better than I expected them to look.
Yeah.
We'll see continuing on in the season if that continues.
Hopefully it doesn't this week.
We'll get to that one. Don't you worry, Rack.
Spees!
Right.
Hey, Spees! How we doing, Spees? Welcome, man. Shout out to Spees and the Benchmark. Let's get you a quick shout out. What's up, Spees? Welcome, man. Good to have you. Guys, if you guys aren't following Spees and the Benchmark, go give him a follow. They are always, Spees and Silky are on there crushing NFL content, crushing sports. They do some wrestling on occasion, but if you're not following them, go do it. They are incredible. So, by the way, also we had Chairman, by the way, hope for some early lines touchdowns. Sources say St. Brown and the skill players have something special planned.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Well, I wouldn't be putting that out there now that everyone's expecting it.
Yep. Might want to keep that one.
Might want to keep that one under wraps. So,
or you're just trying to play against them to make them think that you're doing that, and you won't do it.
True. Now it's psychological mind games. Now I see what's happening here. What's up, Kong? How we doing?
But as Chris mentioned for this game initially, like make sure you got your fantasy roster set before.
Correct.
You don't have Sunday morning if you have players in that London matchup. All right.
Correct. Make sure you get them in. Second place in the pick'em. Put some respect on my name. Yeah, Spees. We got some respect on you, and I'm right behind you, Spees, at 3. So don't get too comfortable up there.
Must be just backwards in this thing. What's going on? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Where am I? Like 20th? Somewhere like that. I'm doing good.
Bog and Smile, first time in. Welcome in, Bog. How we doing? Who's your team and where are you from? We like to get to know you a little bit. I like the under in this game because of weather. Yeah, isn't it always like rainy and stuff? Or I don't know. What is the weather report for?
I mean, it's always raining in London. What, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
every day,
I feel like it's always
all day.
It's Cuban. I'm right behind you at 27. Hey.
Hello. Keep coming.
Keep coming.
Cuban coming.
He coming.
Nope. That's AM showers, Chris. You know, in London on Sunday.
Yes, I'm wanting rain.
Are they? London's ahead of us, right? Right.
Yeah.
Europe's ahead of us. That's how that works.
For y'all, it would be 7 hours ahead. 7 yards ahead of Mountain Time.
So they might have the rain through by that point.
They play in the future. They play in the future, and it doesn't rain in the future.
That's cool.
Jags and Falcons, one of the tougher calls for this weekend. Yeah, Spees, we just mentioned if both of us, Scotty has an official bet +3. I lean +3. It's not one of my official ones, but if I did pick this one, it would be my 5th pick of the week, and I would go probably +3 for the Falcons. Ravens and Browns. Okay, here we go. Scotty, this is a nice divisional matchup here for this game. And this one, I mean,
Could both of these teams lose?
they both could potentially lose, but that's not probably going to happen.
I don't think that is a potential, Chris.
Well, I'm trying to give Rec false hope here and maybe believe something. Rivalry game here. This was another, and I got all my teasers mixed up, but after what happened with the Ravens last week, this is a division rivalry game. Obviously, we have the Browns with a very, very good defense. We got the Cleveland Browns favored -2.5 at home against the Baltimore Ravens. Total set at 40.5. Now, this is you see this 2.5, Scotty, and it automatically screams out, tease me.
Ooh,
I want to be teased. And that's what I did. I teased the Baltimore Ravens to get back on track here in a low-scoring game. I see this as like a 17-20 game, something weird. Like, this is going to be one of those old-school division matchups that is just going to it's going to be a close one overall.
It's gonna be sloppy. It's gonna be a hard spot, and people are gonna get hurt.
Maybe.
Wow.
Maybe. I don't know. All I can say is I know this game is going to be super close.
Is that Rec hoping for injuries to his?
I'm not hoping for injuries. I've just watched the AFC North for too long.
Okay, all right.
So
I
then,
know what happens in these games.
I don't remember you saying like, oh, all the Pittsburgh players are going to get hurt when they played against these two teams.
We got hurt a lot in Cleveland a couple weeks ago.
but that's why I'm on the Ravens, and I'm teasing this up to 8.5 plus 8.5 for the Ravens. I just think that with the total and with these two teams battling and grinding out on the running game, obviously Ford coming in for the Browns after Chubb got hurt, so he's going to be a focal point. They made him a focal point last week. He's going to be that again this week. The Browns like to run the ball and then, kind of open up the passing game through running the ball. Ravens only run the ball. So I just anticipate a low-scoring, grindy kind of game. I got the Ravens plus 8.5 teased up, and we'll see what that's paired with later. I'm all scrambled. But Scotty, what do you got?
I feel like these two teams are pretty similar right now. I think most casual people would see Baltimore as an underdog in this one and love to throw some money on Baltimore. I think Cleveland's probably played better this far.
Agreed.
Baltimore laid a little bit of an egg last week against Indy. Cleveland, according to DVOA metric, is thus far the number one defense in the NFL through 3 weeks.
They're good.
I don't know if I agree with being number one, but like they've balled out. Obviously, played phenomenal, and frankly, if it was up to their defense, they should be 3-0. Their offense allowed a couple of touchdowns in a week 2 loss against Pittsburgh. So, I expect this one to it probably is going to be sloppy. I think both defenses will kind of dominate this game. I feel like I watched the end of the Baltimore Indy game last week, and I felt like Lamar had chance after chance to close that game out and continually failed to do so. So Lamar's kind of the same old Lamar to me and just doesn't excite me. Deshaun Watson, I don't think is very good anymore. Cuban, if you're talking fantasy-wise in this matchup, who's going to do better? You got to take Lamar just because Deshaun's not the running threat he used to be, it seems like, where Lamar's continually going to have that running presence and that capability to do that. So because of that, Lamar is the better fantasy option. I think Cleveland wins this game, though. Now, your tease could be fine, and it could be a close, low-scoring game. I mean, you look at a total of 40.5. That's a very low total. So Low scoring, ugly, but I think Cleveland pulls this out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if Cleveland won this game. Yeah, again,
well, they're favored.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. So that's why I got that cushion.
You wouldn't be shocked if the favorite won.
No.
Exactly. That's how it works.
That's how is that how that works? I didn't know. Hold on.
Roger.
Okay. Fair enough. Ravens and Browns in the books. Let's get to another AFC North competitor and the Bengals, who have stumbled out of the gates this season like they do every season. Visiting the Tennessee Titans here. Cincinnati favored on the road by 2.5 in this one. Over under set at 41.5. A lot of low totals, by the way, this week. There's a lot of games that just don't scream like scoring. We're not going to have a 70-point game this week, Scotty. We're not going to have a 40-plus point game this week.
Well, there could be one.
There might be a couple. Yeah.
There's one on my mind that I probably should have just taken the over in. Actually, two. There's two that I like the over in.
Yeah, but you have a best bet in this one, I believe.
Yeah, Chris, I'll probably go 4-0 this week because I'm not sure I feel great about my bets, to be honest. I am teasing Tennessee up in this one to 8.5. Listen, I mean, you look at Cincinnati and like you keep waiting for them to wake up, and they did get a win, their first win this Monday night. But now you have a short week, a Burrow that's been injured now throughout the season, hasn't looked right. They put up 19 and they really haven't scored. You look at their 3 games thus far, put up 3. Then their offense really put up 17 against the Ravens because they had a punt return touchdown to get to 24. And then 19 against the Rams. Like, they have not got to 20 points as an offense through 3 games. So I get Tennessee plus 8.5. I think Ryan Tannehill has been pretty awful this year. This offense has been pretty awful for Tennessee. The defense hasn't played as well as I thought, a normal Vrabel defense would. So I kind of don't even know if I like my pick, Chris, because I don't like Tennessee right now. Especially after I bet on them last week and they burned me. So maybe that's why my feelings are getting into this a little. But tease them up to 8.5 with 2 offenses that have struggled through 3 weeks. Hopefully we can keep it close, and especially Cincinnati, short week. Maybe could have the advantage there with Tennessee getting to play at home since he having to head out on the road. So I'll take them plus 8.5 and another total that's low at 41.5, Chris. And just hope that they hold on,
Yeah. No, I'm on the exact same. We never talk about our bets before this, but we are mirrored in a lot of our teaser picks this week. I think we're very, very similar. I have Tennessee plus 8.5 teased up as well. Joe Burrow can't throw down the field effectively, and Tennessee's in for a rebound. Tennessee plays a lot of close games. This game is over total over under at 41.5. Similar mindset to what we just talked about in the Ravens Browns matchup is the fact that it's a low total. You take a team, tease them up to 8.5. You feel a lot better about a game where it's probably going to be close. Tennessee doesn't play in a lot of just blowout games very often. They're always in close games. This one, I don't expect any different. Again, the Bengals, short week on the road. It lines up for me to feel. I'll help you feel better about it, Scotty. I'll help you feel better about Tennessee. I'm on them too, plus 8.5. They're well coached. There's no way.
But they just lost 27-3, and I can't get that out of my head.
Yeah, I know, but it's like a roulette table, right, Scotty? It's like, if it lands on black 5 times in a row, the next one, guess what the odds are? Well, if you take out the green space, right? It's 50-50.
That's true.
So it's all individual. It's in individual games. It's an independent game of last week. So, that we gotta feel better about it. I'm gonna help you feel better about it. All right, next up. Oh
God, what is that?
We got the Tank Bowl 2023. Denver.
This might be the Super Tank Bowl.
Oh my goodness.
But at very least, you're at least tanking for your own draft pick this time.
Yeah, we're tanking for our own draft pick. And here's the issue I have. And here's what worries me, Scotty, is the fact that we probably are going to screw up and win this game. We're going to screw up and win this game because everyone's talking about Sean Payton and being like, oh, you remember those quotes in the beginning of the season about how awful the previous regime was? It's an ego thing for Peyton at this point. He doesn't want to be embarrassed again. He's going to have this team just in a good spot this week as opposed to all the other weeks ahead of this. And we're somehow going to find a way to win this game. Denver, by the way, favored by 3 on the road in Chicago. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. The Broncos got blown out by 50 points against Miami and are 3-point favorites on the road the next week. On the flip side, the Miami Dolphins won by 50 and are underdogs against the Bills. And it's just like, figure that one out. Has that ever happened? I don't know.
Teams don't lose by 50 very often.
It's true. It's true. I'm betting on the Bears. Keep close. I mean,
I don't know how you can bet on the Bears at this point.
The Bears.
If you pick them up, maybe.
I mean, if you look at the money line, you see minus 162 for Denver, which means they are pretty solid favorites here in this spot against the Bears. Justin Fields just hasn't looked like a quarterback that's viable in this NFL. He's not being able to read progressions. He's not able to. I mean, they've not really given him the chance to run with his legs and draw up plays with his legs as often as he was at the end of last season. It's just this team. I mean, the Bears fans have given up. I've seen them on social media just giving up on Fields and just burning jerseys and like retiring or saying that this is it. Justin Fields ain't it. Everyone's given up on him. And what that does to a man's psyche, I don't know. I don't know how he can rebound from this. I don't know how the Bears are in a good spot to do anything here.
There's a lot of things messing with their psyche.
Oh, my goodness. The Bears are in a bad spot, if that's crazy enough to say from a Bronco standpoint. But here we are. What's up, Grace? How we doing? Grace Lynn, welcome in. Bears.
Bears.
The
Bears. The Bears through 3 weeks have the 31. They're ranked 31st in offense and 30th in defense out of 32 teams. They're almost dead last in both offense and defense. That's how bad they've been through 3 weeks. You can't bet on the Bears. At least the Broncos have at times shown a little bit of life offensively compared to the prior few seasons. Their defense is the worst. Has been the worst in football. Obviously, you gave up 70 points. You've been the worst in football through 3 weeks.
What did you do to your poor ball boy to do that? To deserve that?
Yeah.
In case you missed
Mike
it,
McDaniels mad.
Mike McDaniel used to be a ball boy for the Denver Broncos. Now he's coaching against them, putting up 70 burgers. No big deal. Obi, what about tomorrow's game? We talked about tomorrow's game already. We both, Scotty and I both like the Packers on the spread. And then we both actually teased them up. Well, actually, no, I teased them up. I don't. You would know we both teased them up. Yep.
Yep.
By the way, guys,
different teams, but yes.
Let's welcome in Obi. Welcome in. Guys, if you guys are new to the channel like Obi is, let us know who your team is and where you're from. And also hit that follow button. It means a lot, and we would love to have you as a part of our community.
Chris, the only reason I could see maybe the Bears playing inspired football this week is it must have been hard to watch Taylor Swift basically laughing at you from a suite last week. Like, if that doesn't motivate you moving forward, Chris, I don't know what does.
Yes, dude, have a nice day.
Does say Chicago has Portillo's, dogs, burgers, Italian beef. I've never been to Portillo's, Chris. I do want to try it.
I do too.
I'm sure it's great. Never been. We even went to Chicago recently. Couldn't make it there, but who picked the picks on this clip? Obviously me. Obviously me.
Obviously Scotty.
I'm just trying to think, like, why is this at 46? Is there just no faith in either defense?
Did you just hear that they're ranked 30th and 32nd in defense?
Yeah,
I mean,
but the Bears are
I
also offensively challenged.
I mean, can we picture?
I like the over.
I was gonna say,
like the
can we
over.
picture the over in this one being like way too low at 46? I mean, that's a thing, right?
I think most people feel like, oh, two awful teams. I'm gonna bet the under on the total. Where, give me the over.
Like we're gonna have a
Give me
shootout
the
here
over.
in Chicago.
I don't know how they get there.
Could this
but
be low key one of the most entertaining games of the week based off of just like everybody being able to score and just awful teams just doing things that you're just like it's just a shit bowl, and we can't wait to see the train wreck that is the Broncos and Bears. I love it. Now,
Yep.
It would be funny if they just like spy like the Broncos fans like you and Perna, where they finally come out playing spies football and win at the last second by a field goal.
man, I don't know.
Like, oh, we choose now to play like this. Great.
I'll be cheering for the Broncos this weekend.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
worry.
Anytime Scotty's cheering for the Broncos, it's not good, Broncos fans. For all you Broncos fans out there in the chat, it's not good to cheer for the Broncos. Obviously,
Let's go Broncos.
we have a nice draft pick waiting for us at the end of the season that could help us. This game could help us down the line. But
The Bears might have two really nice draft picks.
just
They could have
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Caleb Williams and what was the other dude? And Marvin Harrison.
Jr.
Yep.
by the way, you have to be a total degenerate gambler to be gambling on this particular game. Just saying.
I would agree with that statement.
Let's dive into one of the games of the week, if not the game of the week.
The game of the week, Chris.
Dolphins at Bills. I mean, some people's perspectives are different if you're, but
I mean, the previous game might be the game of the week.
it could be. It could be. Dolphins at the Bills. Buffalo -2.5 at home. Over under set at 53.5 total points. And this game, I went back and forth. Initially, right off the top, I was like, oh man, Miami getting points on the road against a division rival, like that feels really good. But then again, the Bills have played really good ball too, and I can see them eking out a close win at home. I know Miami's flying in for this one. Bills Mafia is going to be crazy. This is such a tough game to pick. I had to stay off it just based off of there were trends. Scotty, you and I both look at different betting markets and various resources through our research for these various games. I was 50-50 on all of my resources. Some said Bills, some said Dolphins. There were stats on both sides. I left it alone. I think I'm just going to watch this game as a fan, not betting on it, and just enjoy this one for what it is. But it's going to be a fascinating game either way.
Yeah, I mean, you have two teams that won by a combined 84 last week, Chris. No one's talking about the Bills winning 37-3 against Washington last week as well. Obviously, Miami's been explosive offensively. Buffalo certainly has that potential and has shown signs of that, especially recently. I was close to taking Buffalo -2.5 here. I just think Miami's it's hard. I don't know if it's hard to come off a 50-point win and like not have a little bit of like arrogance to you and maybe a lack of preparation. Tyreek Hill's talking about being a porn star this week.
Yeah. Did you hear that? That was ridiculous.
I think they're going to be focused because it's Buffalo. It's division rival. It's, one of your most important games of the season. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Miami, I don't know if they'll be able to hone in. I think Buffalo feels a little disrespected. The DVO rankings, this is number 1 versus number 2, Chris. This is, according to DVOA, Buffalo, they actually have at 1, and they have Miami at 2 thus far this season, based off of Miami's defense being not great. Obviously, their offense number 1, but defense is ranked 21st in the league right now. So I I expect points. This is by far the biggest total of the week at 53.5, Chris. It's probably going to go over. First to 30 in this one. But I feel like that's too much of a, square bet to bet the over. I feel like everyone's going to bet the over in this one. Let's go.
Obi.
Thank you, Obi.
Obi!
All right.
Welcome in.
My man.
Obi, who's your
but
team?
Chris, this is great. This is going to be a great football game. Regardless of who you like, who you bet on, or what. If you don't like either team, it's gonna be a great football game. Ewan, what? How did that thing about Tyreek not show up in my notification? I don't know. I missed it. He was on his podcast and he had Mike Evans. Mike Evans, the wide receiver, on his podcast, and he was basically like, "When I retire, I want to be a porn star. Do you think I could be a porn star, Mike?" And Mike's like, you do you, man. I don't know. Do what you want."
They really don't care.
Mike was like, what? Mike was just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he was like, you could tell in his mind, he's like, yo, man, like, well,
I don't know
what's
if this is a joke?
Is this
Tyreek's come back and said it was a joke, but like,
was it? It didn't.
Or was that his team being like, dude, you gotta, he's publicist being like, you can't put that out.
That's a very specific joke. Like, and he was semi-serious. When I saw it, it looked like he was serious. Packers, Bucks, Brewers, let's go. Obi, by the way, again, congrats on pulling Dame Time.
Dame.
Welcome to the Action Lab. Hey, it's going to be a big year for the Bucks. That's for sure. Bucks and Nuggets in the championship series. We'll see. We're both, by the way, for all you guys are new, Scotty and I both live in Denver. He's a Chiefs fan. I'm a Broncos fan, but otherwise we are all Colorado. So Nuggets, Avalanche, Rockies, so on and so forth. So just a little thought. We always forget to tell people who our fans are, or we're fans of. Hey, what's up? This is Gutswiller.
These Gutswiller.
Thoughts on this trade? I received AJ Brown, give up Thielen and Robinson Jr.
I would do that in a second.
Yeah.
Which Robinson Jr.? Like Allen?
No, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's
Brian Robinson, probably.
Brian Robinson for Washington. And I'm not big on Thielen at all. And Robinson Jr.'s, I know he had a big week too, but that was against Denver. Everyone has a big week against Denver, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm not, but in all honesty, I'm not huge on Brian Robinson's upside. Moving forward, he's kind of just a guy to me. So I would take the by far elite talent and AJ Brown and roll with that. Hopefully you have like some decent running backs still to plug and play if you've given up Robinson Jr. But Thielen to me is, I wouldn't stress about losing Thielen at all.
I think Thielen's super streaky, and I don't know if he's going to have I think he's going to be very hit and miss for you. He'll have like some big weeks, and he'll have some dud weeks, and I just don't know if you could rely on him. AJ, I think, is going to have consistency across the board for sure. So,
yeah, you're getting like a top 10, probably wide out, and not giving it you. Yeah, Robinson Jr.'s on your bench. I wouldn't, if you pulled the trigger, if it's out there, sign off on that deal before they pull that, because you're getting the better end of that.
All right, next up, Patriots and Cowboys. This one, Dallas. This must have came down because it was 7 most of the week. And if you checked it, I don't even know if that's where it still is. Is it still at... Let me double check this.
I don't know. I just check DraftKings when I make the graphics, which was earlier today, Chris.
6.5. So this is one of my best bets of the week. I think 6.5 is probably closer to where it should be. I got it at 7. I have the Patriots on this one as one of my best bets of the week with a total over under 43 in this one. For me, the Cowboys, they've had a comfortable season to start. When it comes to the schedule, Giants, Jets, Cardinals. Now Jets have a decent defense, but still, I mean, Jets offense, that was after they lost Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers played 30 seconds. So they didn't have to go up against some juggernaut.
But they did have to go up against the juggernaut known as Josh Dobbs.
And the Cardinals, correct, where the Cardinals shocked the Cowboys last week. So they lost that game by double digits. Cowboys injuries, especially in the secondary, have come out, and they're, still trying to figure out, plug in some of those holes. But, I mean, I think that this Patriots team seems decent enough to make something happen. They've kept things outside of maybe the Dolphins. The Eagles, they've had a much tougher start to the season. Eagles, Dolphins, Jets. So, I mean, Jets with their defense. This is just, I think, too many points. Not to mention, by the way, just some side notes here. The Pats, using their Patriot ways, signed Will Grier to the practice squad, and then they have obviously Zeke, who's been well tuned in with the Dallas Cowboys over the last part of his entire career, practically, to maybe get some insights. Bill is a smart guy. He's very resourceful. And damn well, there's reports actually out there saying, no, Patriots are denying that they're grilling Will Grier and Zeke for details about this game and everything else. I think
that's not something New England would do.
No, never, never. But if James Conner ran for 7 yards per carry and Josh Dobbs was very efficient, completing 17 of 21 passes, I feel like Mac Jones can come close to that. And I think this offense can potentially come close to those numbers against this Cowboys team. I think that this is a big number. I like New England +7 as one of my best bets of the week. We obviously see the line dropping to 6.5, so I feel a little bit better about where I got it, but that's where I'm at on this game.
Yeah, for me, the big thing that no one talked about with Dallas, and Dallas, even with this, should have taken care of business against Arizona last week, no doubt about it. But Dallas was without 3 starting offensive linemen, and good ones. Their center, Tyler Biadasz, I can't say his name, I don't know, along with Zach Martin, potentially the best guard in football, and left tackle Tyron Smith. All 3 didn't play last week. All did not practice today. So
not good.
If those 3 are still out, Tyron Smith actually suited up last week, but didn't end up getting in the game at all. And you could see him going crazy on the sideline. So he's probably the closest to coming back. Haven't heard, Zach Martin, it's an ankle and a hamstring for their center. So if those 3 are out, obviously that's a huge loss for a Dallas team that still was able to move the ball last week. But I think I mentioned on Sunday night, Chris, 5 possessions in the red zone, 6 points. That's not going to cut it for any team. No team's going to, have good results when you do that. So they got to be, and they were bad against the Jets the week before in the red zone, which ironically, I think Dallas was the best red zone offense in football last year. And this year thus far have been far from that. From a New England vantage point.
That's what happens when you play call it doesn't want to score points.
Maybe. From New England's vantage point, you look at a 1-2 team, but their 2 losses are to Philly and Miami, two of the 3 undefeated teams left in football. Not a huge shame in that. They get a win against the Jets last week, 15-10 in a game that maybe was closer than it should have been. My concern with New England is they've played. They're just fine across the board. They're okay across the board. I don't think they've eclipsed. Let's see, they put up 15 last week. I don't know if they've eclipsed
17 against
points,
Miami.
17 and 20 in week 1 against the Eagles. So they haven't got past the 20-point plateau in any of their
20 points.
So the key is going to be, keeping Dallas out of the end zone, and if they do so, they should be able to cover this. If Dallas is able to start remedying that or get some of those linemen back, then I think Dallas, a lot of times, if they start off hot, they end up winning by 100. They're great at blowing teams out if they get your number right off the bat. I feel like you'll know after the first quarter where this game's heading.
Yeah. Bill Belichick went out of his way to say that Dallas Cowboy Kevontae Turpin, TCU, is the best kick returner in football.
I did see that.
more important comment from Bill Belichick this week. Did you see what he said about Kelsey?
He said the biggest catch of Kelsey's career was not on the football field, Scotty.
No, that's not what he said.
Oh, you're talking about another one?
No, I thought he said, and maybe I thought he said Travis has had a lot of big catches in his career, but the touchdown with Taylor watching was probably his biggest. I thought it was that. Was it?
Maybe I misinterpreted.
I could have misinterpreted now I'm questioning. I'll try and find the quote.
Yeah. It was like, I thought it was like Taylor Swift is the biggest.
Obviously, for those who don't know, Belichick is a huge Taylor. He's a Swiftie.
Bill Belichick, when he gets asked or when he's talking about Taylor Swift, is a completely different person. He's absolutely this. He all of a sudden gets a smile on his face. He's charismatic. He opens up and he's like, he's almost giddy. Like he's almost excited to talk about Taylor Swift. It's the weirdest thing. Ever since he saw Taylor Swift in the rain in New England perform, he is probably one of the biggest Swifties out on the planet.
Chris, I think you're right. I think I read it wrong. He presented it as, catching Taylor would be the biggest catch of his career.
Yeah.
Which it seems like he's caught her, at least for the time being, Chris.
Which, by the way, I was kind of, and obviously you always hear other rumors of Taylor Swift with other like there's other athletes coming out with like these reports. But I saw a picture with Taylor Swift with her arm around Kelsey at a bar and everything. I'm like, damn, things are moving quick.
That was Sunday night after the game. Kelsey bought out a restaurant in Kansas City, and friends and family came, and they stayed there till 2 a.m. with Taylor and him, and they seemed to be a little flirtatious and lovey-dovey in there. So, and Chris, she's coming back for more.
Jets,
Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Reports are, Chris, could this be the most watched regular season game of all time?
Possibly.
It could be.
I actually had to pick up my brother from the Taylor Swift concert a few weeks ago here in Los Angeles. He took swift action to get the tickets. That joke was tailor-made for Swift fans.
Hey.
Oh boy.
But
thank you for
Chris,
the bit.
I didn't even make one of our preview games the Chiefs Jets game because I don't know on paper how great it is. Plus, it's a Sunday night, so we'll cover it a ton on Sunday night as it's happening. But that was prior to
all this,
the news of Taylor. And I'm like, Taylor's not going to come to like every game, right? But she does live in New York. I asked a Swiftie that I work with, and that's where she lives. So it kind of made sense that she would come to the game this weekend as well.
I'll tell you one thing.
Sunday Night Football is gonna be hopping, Chris.
I'll tell you one thing. You haven't seen much of Jackson Mahomes in the news recently. there's all the memes.
Cuban asked, was that the bar that Jackson Mahomes got kicked out of? No, that place is shut down. It's closed.
Wow.
Closed its doors.
Jackson's in jail, literally. By the way, Squan, welcome in, Squan. Good to have you. It's been a while, Squan. Welcome back. He's had a lot of great catches, but Taylor is his greatest. Bill's girl.
There's no way Jackson Mahomes is in jail right now.
I don't know if that's true, but I know he
could afford bail. Worst case scenario.
He's got to lay low a little bit, though.
I don't think he lives in Kansas City.
Zach Wilson looks like a Disney Channel movie quarterback. Yeah, that's, you're not wrong there. So this we were talking about this before you hopped on, Scotty. Is it possible that the NFL could not have asked for a better storyline? The NFL, just in general, could not have asked for something better to happen than Taylor Swift fans just all of a sudden all over social media in regards to the NFL. That's where everybody's coming to. Like the memes we've been sharing a lot in our Discord. By the way, join our Discord. Shout out to our Discord server. If you haven't joined in, we are always sharing news and memes and all the stuff.
New news.
But like all the Taylor Swift fans are like posting on social media, learning about football and all these. Like it's the weirdest vibe. Like Devil Doc was like, my TikTok as a sports fan is taken over by Taylor Swift. The NFL is eating this shit up. They might have paid her to go to this game.
Have you seen all the trend on TikTok with like wives filming their husbands being like, how cool is it that like Taylor Swift, like, you know, made a name for this. Who's this player? Travis Kelce. No one knew. He's blown up when no one knew who he was. And the husbands are just like, what?
No,
are you stupid? Are you stop?
It's so funny. But it's crazy. The fact that the NFL is getting more eyeballs from people who never probably have watched a single snap of NFL football. It's crazy. Legit, docs. Mahomes judge got COVID, stands in trial October. There you go. Let's dive into this next one, though. Steelers at Texans. Now, Pittsburgh is a 3-point favorite at Houston. Total set at 42. Another low total here for this game. Rex boys. Your boys, Rec. Going up against a juggernaut rookie quarterback who is playing really good. No turnover football. And just, doing what he has to do.
We'll have to change that.
Doing what he has to do to make sure that he's keeping his team in games. And you could argue that Houston is one of the surprise teams so far. This game, I don't know what to expect from Pittsburgh because I don't know. Pittsburgh, didn't they have the weird thing with the airplane this past week where they had to get diverted and their plane got
emergency landing in Kansas City?
They heard that Swift might still be in Kansas City, so they diverted their plane there.
Yeah.
And Cameron Hayward was asking, like, hey, can y'all come pick us up?
Unfortunately, they decided to just stay on the plane the whole time, I guess, which you're not going to find her there.
Yeah. And so, like, this is a weird one for me. I don't know if I wanted this to be feeling like a bounce back week for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh offense was unimpressive again last week. Outside of, like, what was that? 72-yard touchdown, averaging only 4.4 yards. Otherwise, like, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Bring up a lot of stats, but just go look at the Discord, guys.
Pick is the best quarterback in the AFC North.
And
for the bait, and I was super. I had no reason to necessarily be cranky this morning, but I was at work and I was just mad. And then I saw that, and I'm like, no, not today.
No fun for you.
Go check out our Discord, ladies and gentlemen. You can get caught up pretty quick. But last week, Houston slowed down a better offense despite their defensive injuries. I feel like I don't know. This is a weird game for me. I stayed off this game from a betting standpoint. Texans also have a sneaky rest advantage after Steelers' issues with the flight stuff. So I don't know. I just think that this game, if I had to make a pick, I'd probably lean Houston. But Scotty, you are officially on one side of this game.
Yeah, Rec, you'll be shocked to know, but I'm actually riding with Houston.
Hey,
let's go, Texans! Spicy. I like it money line. I like it all day, every day. Houston gets a win. They get some confidence. CJ Stroud, I think Rec put that. It's neat that Kenny Pickett's thrown for like 600 yards in 3 games, which is about 200 less than CJ, the rookie Stroud, has thrown out there for the Texans. Texans have been better offensively thus far. They're getting confidence. He's hitting up Tank Dell and Nico Collins and, just pieces. And I just listen. The Steelers are 2-1, but to me have not been impressive this far. They got blown out week 1. Week 2 took 2 defensive scores to get a win in that one. And then week 3, it took Josh McDaniels being the biggest idiot on the planet Earth to seal that win. So they just haven't. And listen, Pittsburgh has the ability to maybe figure this out. I haven't been that impressed with them at all, especially obviously offensively. I think I mentioned in the Discord, they are 3rd to last in football in yards per drive on offense this year, only behind, I want to say it was Chicago and maybe Cincy.
I think those are the 2, Cincy and Chicago.
So they've just been anemic offensively. You saw maybe a couple signs last week, but the Raiders are not a good defense. Not to say that Houston's got an elite defense by any stretch of the imagination. Houston's defense is below average and is very gettable. So we'll see if Pittsburgh can find their rhythm, but give me the home team. Maybe part of this was just my emotion running, Chris, but I'm taking the Texans +3. Let's ride. Let's ride. CJ.
Let's ride.
It's spicy.
I don't know which way it's going to go, but the first half will be a blowout. I don't know which team is doing the blowout, and that's what scares me.
The problem with that, Rec, is I don't see Kenny Pickett leading a blowout kind of a game.
Yeah. It's just, I think he probably won't, but I've seen this way too many times with the Steelers. Like, they go up against, this is a classic trap game for the Steelers.
Well, they have the Baltimore Ravens, I believe, right? On the back end of this one.
Yep, so if they don't blow them out, then they might not prepare for this game. Classic Mike Tomlin move. Overlooking this team, looking at the Ravens. They come into this game, and all of a sudden the Texans are up 20 points. They're winning by 20 by halftime.
Who's I missed it on Pat McAfee. Who's JJ Watt cheering for this week?
Actually, I didn't see either. I'd assume he's cheering for Pittsburgh.
Boston, by the way.
He might be cheering for TJ while cheering for the Texans to win.
Yeah, possibly.
Awesome MS. Sorry, Rick. Awesome MS. Welcome in, first time chatter. Let's welcome in Awesome. What do you think about
that you're here?
Amon-Ra for ETN and Gabe Davis? So
I'd probably just go I'd keep Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra is very. I mean, here's the thing. ETN. That's a tough one because Gabe can blow up from week to week. ETN's been a surprise, a nice surprise if you drafted him. Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra is gonna give you the consistency that you're probably going to like having him on your team a lot more than having ETN and Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is very boomer bust.
The peaks with ETN and Gabe Davis, I think, are a little higher, but you get a consistency with Amon-Ra, I think.
Yeah. I would probably lean towards keeping Amon-Ra. I don't know actually which end I think you're the one that would be moving on from Amon-Ra. I'd probably hold on to Amon-Ra myself, but that one's a lot more close than the other trade we were talking about earlier. Because the running back position is so sad right now in the NFL, and ETN has the potential to be a top 5 running back in fantasy from here on out this season. I'm not a big Gabe Davis guy, though.
Good night, Ducky. There you go. Have a good night. We'll catch you next time. Quack, quack. B Smokey, what's going on? With the Chiefs, might get a blowout win. Zach Wilson going to have a poor performance. Taylor Swift most likely going to be in attendance. I'm predicting a possible riot or booze from Jets fan. I mean, when are you not expecting those two things from Jets fans?
Jets fans will be booing.
They do that.
They might boo Zach Wilson entering onto the field prior to the game.
I can see that.
They hate that. They hate that man.